chance to make it 28-3. Arthur Blank loving it. Up by 25. Toss to White. He's in! What a comeback!
All right, welcome to another episode of the 28-3 podcast. We are, in fact, still a podcast. Summer vacation in full swing, so forgive us for lack of
podcasting post. Our podcasting has been about as slow as what I think the news has been coming out of Saints camp. Tweeted earlier that I can't tell if they're practicing in Irvine, California, or Area 51. Everything seems so secretive over there. I'm not going to say anything about the no fans thing. I think Adam from Block Party's been taking care of all of that on Twitter, so we'll leave that to him. But it's a different feel as a fan. But we were just talking about I kind of plugged in recently, just been catching up on some of the pods, and it sounds like the vibes are different this year. Today, the day we're recording this, was their first day in pads, and so there were some updates coming out of that. But we'll try to, on this episode anyway, not going to be an overly long one, at least I don't think, unless we go off on some kind of Joe Horn, Marcus Colston tangent like we did last time.
Very good chance.
Should we start there?
So erroneous. No, if we start there, we'll never end. I mean, maybe people want that. I don't know.
My whole vacation will be spent on this podcast.
Yeah. Max will be sending smoke signals from the beach, just saying, "It's Horn, you idiot." But yeah, I mean, they had the first week was new rules, no pads, but it's kind of like a lot of training camps where some inopportune injuries, but then there's some faces that are surprising out there. So we'll try to get through some of that stuff and give our always desired opinions. Vocal opinions on those matters. So I think for me, there's been a lot. The biggest question is coming into camp, obviously the general topic of the new Saints offense, then the more specific idea of, well, how is this offensive line going to perform? And we said it all off season, we're not going to know till they put pads on. We probably still don't know, even though they have technically put the pads on, but it has been literally one day of pads. What I can say from what I've been hearing, I know you love when I give people shout outs, Max, but I will give Ross Jackson a shout out on this one for his blessed service of a daily Saints podcast, because no one else is doing it every single day. Ross is putting out 2 a day right now, live one in the mornings, one after practice, and getting a lot of information from him. So shout out to him, and, trying to plug into the rest of the Saints website itself, but, in some of the press conferences, but the biggest question mark is Trevor Penning on that offensive line. Again, like every year, they're saying the right things. Penning's up there in press conference saying he feels comfortable. You're hearing reports that he was winning some reps, actually. Probably the first reps he's won at anything since, I don't know, last August, if that. And but one interesting thing Penning said in his press conference today is that his offseason workouts, he was actually working out with Terron Armstead, and which sounded amazing, and I hope is amazing. But I'm encouraged because he talked about working on his mental game, and Armstead was telling him, like, hey, dude, you got to have a plan before you line up on the ball. I mean, it's granular, it's detailed, but it's like you need to be the one knowing your plan, because then you can dictate what you're going to do to the defender. You're not just reacting to the edge rusher. And if he was rolling up past couple of years without even that thought, I mean, it's been well documented. I played fullback. I did not play O-line, in high school.
Really?
Same thing.
Wait, hold on.
Same thing.
You played fullback in high school?
Some have said this. Yes. Definitely not me.
I think we need a
definitely not y'all.
Well, I think we need a separate
not shared
episode
pictures.
where maybe we can kind of hear about your exploits.
We could probably do a pretty lengthy chop up at this point of all the different times I've said fullback on this podcast. We might be saying fullback a lot more this season because of Clint Kubiak, not because of
what though? Hold on. So
different topic, but
the new college football game, I don't even think they have fullbacks in the game. It's like they just default the second string tight end to the fullback position.
College football, I mean, they have service academies in the game, right? They're still running the fullback. Come on,
you got to get that game. This is I'm off on a little tangent here, but y'all need to get this game. I have to get the Xbox
or
PlayStation.
I still have a PS2. I mean, I'm going to play NCAA 2005. You know, I think I have the one with Larry Fitzgerald on the cover from college.
That's a good one. I remember that one.
It was a great one. Played it a lot at the University of Georgia.
They definitely had fullbacks at that point.
You goddamn right they did. Brandon Sutherland, who was fullback for Georgia back in the day. I digress. Penning had good things to say about his workouts with Terron Armstead, which was encouraging. And, but I think at this point, one padded practice, that's the kind of stuff you're going to hear. And it's up to you as a fan. And do you take stock in that? Do you feel good about it? Do you not? I mean, is it the same old shit when he lines up across competition? Who knows? But that's one of the things that jumped out to me. There's other stuff we can talk about, but looked like you had something you wanted to say to that, Max.
No, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I haven't listened to any of the interviews or anybody else's podcast. Just to echo the shout out to Ross Jackson. Ross is awesome. Love his podcast. We listen to that one, pretty regularly. So it's good that he had some good stuff to say. Penning, I mean, it's until we see it in an actual game situation, it's all lip service. The thing that stood out the most to me, the Lattimore injury. I know it's quote unquote a minor injury and shouldn't be something that lingers, but at the same point, given the past 2 seasons with how he struggled with injuries, it's obviously not an encouraging sign. On the positive side, though, you're getting to see Kool-Aid McKinstry got to slide in. From what we hear, he slid into that spot and Alante stayed in the slot. So that's, I guess, some good, valuable reps for Kool-Aid. Paulson Adebo, by all accounts, has picked up where he left off last season, which is obviously very encouraging. So it's, right now we're just kind of pulling any information we can. Mason Tipton, that's exciting to see, an undrafted free agent wide receiver, rookie free agent wide receiver coming in and having big play after big play every day. He fits that. The one thing I don't like about it is he fits that profile of Shaheed and Olave, a smaller guy, very fast. I'd rather hear that A.T. Perry is dominating practice. And unfortunately, it seems like he hasn't done much at all in practice, which is apparently a carryover from the mini camps. So that's, to me, is concerning because we don't have that big bodied wide receiver, the physical guy, I guess the Michael Thomas replacement. So I don't like having 3 Smurf, fast guys as the only option to receiver. We need one of the big guys to step up.
It's great when they take the top off the coverage, but I mean, you can't.
Which one of them is going to make that physical third down catch on 3rd and 8? You know what I mean? Across the middle.
I mean, you can design things where that can work if he's that legit, I think. I mean, the Rams' greatest show on turf didn't have any big bodied receivers.
That's a good point.
But
good hands, guys. But
they were scared of contact. They just dove on the ground, but they just went up and down the field too. So it didn't matter. The scheme was so good and their talent, now we'll see if Shaheed can fit that role too. We don't know if he's got that whole, hopefully he's improved a lot, but I don't know. I think it all means nothing basically. As y'all know, my views on preseason, it's just, it's fun to get hyped up about it, because we know we're close to the season again, but I mean, that's fantastic. He's working out with Armstead. It means nothing. I
don't know if it means nothing. It's definitely more than what we heard, or as far as what he was doing in preparation last year. I think he didn't say it, and this is all from his presser. I mean, last year he was just like, "Hey, like, big Ophi dude, go play football." Like, it was just Doug Marone's like, "Yeah, dude, just get out there, man." And but I got the sense and this is just from listening to his press conference, that he's acting. He sounds more like a professional this year than just like some raw, immensely like physically talented, physically huge college kid who's still getting used to the pro game. He's doing things mentally to prepare himself. He's framing things differently. He mentioned how back in the past he was playing, or the past 2 years, he was playing just terrified of making a mistake. And if he got called out for making a mistake, he said it would bother him so much, almost to where like he couldn't recover from it. And he said he's talked to some people, former players, coaches who have said, look, you have to make mistakes. There's no other way for you to learn out on the field. So to hear a guy like Penning, who's kind of a soft-spoken, quiet dude, say like, yeah, I'm going to make a mistake. I'm not going to let it bother me. In fact, I'm going to learn from it. I'm like, okay. I mean, look, I admit, and I agree, saying it is absolutely one thing. Doing it is a completely other thing. But that's the kind of shit you get this time of year. It's kind of like you can only judge so much until they actually get on the field against another team.
I mean,
but that was
the dude's
something.
25. He's the same age as Ruiz. What, a year younger than McCoy? Like, this is not a young dude. So I hope we're not just getting that type of revelation from him. I never. Well,
he seemed emotionally young. I mean, some people develop later.
That's true. And I did like. I didn't see all the pressers you saw. I saw one where he was talking about. This is from a few weeks ago, where he was talking about switching sides and all that, and that it wasn't a big deal. I thought that was encouraging, that at least he doesn't feel it's a big mountain to climb to switch sides, that he's been practicing both sides for a while now with, in his preparation in the last couple seasons. But, I guess this is just me personally. I never thought his issue was a motivation problem, or it just looked like he doesn't know how to play football.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think
he came from a small school.
I mean, like his technical,
he doesn't have the proper seasoning yet that he needs. Now, Armstead came from a small school too, so
right. And he had look at the people he had to learn from. That's why I think with training camp, it's interesting to me. Y'all know I love to get into all the meta shit about it, but I really do think it's an opportunity. Like, look, you can take it as a fan. You can say, all right, what are the X's and O's? Who's catching? Who's got the most contested catches? How many interceptions has Carr thrown? Oh, his first pass was a pick. Holy shit! Like, you can be results oriented, or you can say, like, especially for the younger players, it's yes, how are they performing? But I think a guy like Penning, it's how are they learning? Like Terron Armstead learned better than arguably a lot of other rookies we've had how to be a pro. So you see training camp with the young guys, see how are they learning how to be a pro? Not necessarily how are they playing. I mean, you definitely see how are they playing, but if you took all the reports, like Penning as an example, how is he playing? The reports weren't horrible. They definitely weren't as horrible as he played in the season. But if you were going to say, well, how is he being coached up? What is Doug Marrone doing? Is he working out with former players? You can get little tidbits on how these guys are actually picking things up.
Yeah, but here's my counterpoint to that. Penning is 25, as Nick said, and he's in year 3. Like, he's past the point of needing to learn how to be a pro. This is the point where he should be coming up to where he's almost at the end of his rookie contract.
Well,
and he needs to be
but
first round pick. Armstead, you give him a little more slack because he was a third or a fourth round pick. Penning doesn't have that luxury anymore. Like, he doesn't have the luxury of being able to say, hey, I'm learning how to be a pro in year 3. It needs to be, no, look, I'm out here and I'm busting some ass right now and I'm knocking people down.
Yeah. No, I agree that his time is swiftly coming up. But I think that it just shows.
If it doesn't happen this year, it ain't going to happen.
Or here, whatever it is. But I think the past 2 years, his failure to learn, I mean, sure, he's to blame for that, but also a big blame to me for that is the malpractice on the Saints coaching for not developing him, or being surrounded by players that are younger, maybe not the same kind of veterans that Armstead walked in there with. There's a lot of different things. Different
That's
ways
also
you can go.
Speculation on our part, saying, it's
complete speculation.
Yeah,
I agree.
I mean, at some point when you're the 18th or 19th pick, whatever he was in the draft, like, you have to be ready to play. Like, you need to, you put it on yourself and say, hey,
this is the Davenport conversation all over again.
Exactly. And right now he looks like the offensive potential. He looks like the offensive Davenport right now.
Yeah, unless he proves something else, then he
actually he
is,
doesn't even
worse.
look like the offensive Davenport, because Davenport had 8 or 9 sacks that one year and was by all accounts one of the top defensive players on the team.
Yeah, he performed. He just kept getting injured
Right.
and then sucked.
So whether we want to blame the coaching or the drafting, I mean, the drafting to me is probably a bigger issue. We went back to that well again and drafted what we would call a raw guy in the top 20, and he hasn't even contributed in 2 years. It's not acceptable for that position. When you're going to reach, you've got to know that guy can at least contribute. I mean, I'm not saying he should be a star right out of the gate, but
yeah, barring a turnaround this year, it's a complete failure on his part and on the organization's part. Moving on from him, obviously one of the issues mentioned, the injuries. I knew taxes were high in California, but I didn't know we had a one player per day.
Oh, that's every
injury
year.
tax.
That's every year.
Playing in Irvine. It's literally been one per practice, somebody going out. And I would like to see that stop, because if you do the math, we'll run out of starters.
Yeah, but that's every team every year. Like, injuries happen, man. I'm not sweating any of the injuries yet. It hasn't been anything catastrophic. Like,
as long as it's no major
right,
ones.
there hasn't.
The one thing I think we should get back to, Max mentioned it a little bit, is I think when we were all talking, at the end of last season, our optimism was most high with some of the young players like A.T. Perry, like Kendre, and to hear that that's not going well is not great. That's really tough, because I really thought AT, if he made a step, that'd be huge for our team. And we all thought, Kendre's style fits what we think Kubiak's going to try and do. And to hear, Dennis Allen say that the way he did, and whether it's deserved or not, obviously it's not professional in my opinion, but it's, you have to be pretty down on a guy to say something like that this early. And he has been injured his whole career here. He played one game of significance last year. So that's been probably the most disappointing thing I've seen come out of camp.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Yep. I'm glad you brought that up. Kendre Miller, I mean, God, I know in our group text, we were going back and forth, messing with Corey about Branson Robinson, the highly recruited Georgia running back who for 2 years has done basically nothing. And I comped him to Kendre Miller, who Kendre Miller in 1 year as a pro has done basically nothing, and they're both battling injuries. And these early reports, man, they are not good. Seeing that Jordan Mims is basically running at the number 3 right now with a strong lead.
Yeah.
It brings me back to Pittman from Ohio State when he was a 3rd or 4th round pick the same year that Pierre Thomas was an undrafted rookie free agent, and they cut Pittman in training camp to keep Pierre. Obviously, Kendre's already been on the team for a year, but dude, this is when the head coach is calling you out, week 1 of training camp. That's not good, man. And this is for the guy. The statement. Remember, Kendre came out last year talking about he was going to take the number 1 job and all this other stuff going into training camp. Dude, he hasn't done shit. So that to me is probably the most concerning thing, because we are forced at this point to work something out with AK. Now, obviously, we would all like for AK to be a saint for life, but they are basically forced at this point, because what do you have behind him? You got the corpse of Jamal Williams, and you got Kendre Miller, who's looking like, he's looking like a bust, honestly. So it's
I mean, your best option at tailback, if you don't have something worked out with AK, would be Taysom Hill. But you need him for everything else. I mean, he would honestly run as a pure runner. Like, he's probably going to be your best skill ball carrier, but that would just throw a wrench into Kubiak's plans. As we've also heard from camp, they're really utilizing Taysom as like totally ditching the quarterback idea, which is great. Moving them all around, fullback, H-back, offset, all the good shit. We can't be wasting Taysom on just like filling in a tailback, which is what would happen even with AK if there's no depth behind AK.
I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe Jamal, maybe this year he steps it back up. We all liked Jamal when we signed him.
The scheme could help him.
It could. he can catch.
Yeah.
We know that. So he's
and the drop off last year it didn't make sense. He was bad like how do you go from it was terrible, but it's like
he averaged 2.9.
How do you hurt too? He got hurt right out of the gate.
Disgusting.
Yeah. The only thing you're hoping is that he got hurt early and he wasn't 100% all year. That's what you're hoping.
Yeah, that's what you're hoping.
And that he stays healthy.
But then, then to go back to what Nick's point was, what's the issue with A.T. Perry? Why the hell is he not performing at this point?
Right.
Because you would expect him to take honestly, that step up based on what he did last year. He had 4 touchdowns in limited appearances. In the last couple of weeks of the season, he really ramped it up, and everybody was like, okay, this guy might be the next guy we have. And it's just that scares me.
It's curious to hear people at the receiver position regressing because the new wide receiver coach Keith Williams is so highly touted, and before he was in the NFL, he was a specialist private wide receivers coach
for prominent players,
respected
for like prominent
and
players.
For really good players would leave their teams to go to him just to say, how do I play this position better? And he would make them better. And so to hear that that's a position where by all accounts and observations that we've all had, physically talented guy to fall back. I don't know. Maybe he's got some kind of injury bug. He's not listed. They don't have to do injury reports at this point. Who knows?
It's been all mini camps
concerning.
For him too, though.
It's concerning.
It's been mini camps, and now it's led into training camp, which is concerning. And he's not a spring chicken either. He's 24, 25. Like he's another older rookie that we had. So the other thing that's disappointing to me is hearing that Bub Means basically is non-existent because we need that bigger physical guy like I touched on earlier. You need someone like that because we just don't have that at the top of the rotation right now. So you'd like to see one of these bigger bodied guys step up and show that they can be that big physical presence that we need.
Yeah, it's amazing how in a post Mike Thomas world, the receiver situation just seems dire. And now look,
we've been in a post Mike Thomas world for the past 4 years.
But, officially, but there was optimism. We had him last year. And AT looked good as a rookie. But it's, the Underhill and Triplett said it, with Cedric Wilson, where they were like, his first few days weren't great. He had a good day 3, day 4. But he's not the guy that you should be saying is your third best wideout right now.
Agreed.
That's not a good situation to be in. And I agree. They didn't sign him to be that third option. I think obviously they want a guy like A.T. Perry to be the third option, and begs the question, wide receiver, running back, running back more than wide receiver, but there's still going to be some guys on the street, as the season gets closer. And if nobody pans out in camp, they got to do something.
We also have Stanley Morgan and St. Brown. I have no idea how to say his first name, but he's Amon-Ra St. Brown's older, shittier brother.
Equanimous would take less time to say.
He is big. He is big. He is not. He's not good.
And he clearly verbally intimidated by his big brother based on their podcast. Dude couldn't even talk back.
No,
his brother's talking shit.
No. His little brother is talking shit.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra is the younger.
That's what I'm saying. I can't relate to that. If Casey was mouthing off, I'd be like,
I guess it actually makes sense because it's a parallel situation to you and Casey. So no, I could see it. Shout out Casey.
Figured you would take the bait on that one.
So wait, should we start calling Casey Amon-Ra?
Text Casey and say
you are equestrian or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah, I don't think Casey's a sun god.
Side by side.
I don't think Cindy wanted. Maybe Amon-Ra was the second choice, and she decided to go with Casey. Sounds logical.
Amon-Ra Mall. I think it sounds pretty good.
Amon-Ra St. Maul.
Amon-Ra St. Maul, yeah. That could have worked. No, but we have a bunch of number 5 receivers right now, it seems like. You have Olave, you have Rashid Shaheed, and then after that, it seems like there's a bunch of number 4, maybe 4s, optimistically speaking, but mainly 5s.
It's kind of like my first year in the auction football, the fantasy football league or the dynasty league where, you blow your load on the running backs and then maybe you spring too much for a QB. And then you're just like, oh shit, this is a 3 wide receiver league. Fuck. And then you're stuck just like, oh, I can get this guy for $16. Boom, gone.
Yeah.
I can get this guy for nope. And then you're stuck with 5 number 5s.
The reality is we're missing the number 1.
Well,
You have the 2, 3, 4, 5.
Here we go. Corey's about to get upset.
No, ideally Shaheed would be a 3. Ideally. He hasn't proven to be a 2 yet. Ideally, Olave is your 2 from how he's performed so far. He's got better skills than that, but so far he's a really great 2.
Yeah, he's not your.
We're missing. Yeah, we're missing the alpha. That's what we're missing.
I agree with that.
So I agree with Max. It's a bunch of like 4th and 5th receivers with Olave and Shaheed.
Nick, as someone who loves to hear observations from camp, it has been observed that your boy Olave is making more contested catches. Had a big one over Alante.
I heard the same thing last year.
Hey, look, Corey. Sometimes he does do it.
Yeah,
you're right.
But when he gets hit, he doesn't. I mean, you see, it's possible. He's just too inconsistent for me to call him a bona fide top 20 guy in the league. I just haven't seen that yet.
No, you got to see
but
it. You got to see it.
Very young. Obviously, could I do think he got a little bit better last year over the year before. There wasn't a big jump, but I think to get to that level, you're talking like the Amon-Ra St. Browns. You're talking about that level guy, and they're the same size. Go watch those two and how physical those two guys are. Completely different situation.
And here's the thing, though. To Nick's point, there was not a jump last year at all. Basically, if you look at the stats from year 1 to year 2, they're essentially identical. There was no jump.
It was like
essentially just more targets.
Yeah.
It was just more targets.
Yeah.
That's basically what
it was like he was on cruise control last year. Just kind of
cruise control, 80 miles an hour and you're 40?
Pretty much. I mean, like it's like he knew he had 1,100 in the bag.
I mean, he got that speeding.
So
he got the speeding citation, and that was the end of it. He just kind of put it in cruise control after that.
Yeah, his buddies.
Let's just put it this way, Corey.
Reckless driving out of this.
I think this is the easiest way to describe it. Right, this is year 3, so we're essentially one more full season after this away from having to sign this dude. They're getting 35 a year. Those top guys. Can you in any world pay him 35 a year?
Fuck no.
I mean.
You can, right?
Not
right now.
Look, this was my point with that tweet I sent out last year. I got a lot of backlash talking about Olave. Like, my entire point of saying this is the guy you're going to end up trading was projecting to year 3 and 4 when he's still this same guy who's barely scraping out 1,000 yards and like 4 touchdowns, and he's going to want $25 to $30 million a year. Fuck that. You cannot pay that guy that much money.
I was about to say, like, he would have to be like,
it's going to be like 35.
Offensive. You have to be offensive player of the year, but then I'm like, nope, not even that. He'd have to be like NFL MVP and Super Bowl MVP to consider it.
I don't understand what people are seeing when they keep trying to tell me this dude is a superstar. What the fuck are people watching?
What they think he can do. What they think
yeah,
he
but
can
like, let's
do.
take it back even.
It's not based on anything he has done.
But let's take it back even further to Ohio State.
Right.
Now, on an Ohio State team that was probably the best wide receiving core in college football history when you go over the 2-year span. So you had multiple first-round picks. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Olave, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr. And then this year you got a couple more that are probably going to be first-round picks. Olave did not stand out in that group. And if you watch like the college game day interviews, they all pointed to Smith and Jigba and Harrison. They're like, these are the two right here. But Garrett Wilson, honestly, has been the best one out of the ones that have made it to NFL.
Another guy. That's another great comparison, though, size-wise.
Same size.
Okay.
Same size.
They are similar size, and this guy catches everything. He catches everything. And,
so I think it makes the answer.
I mean, back to my original point. What are people seeing that they think this guy's a superstar? Like, what am I not seeing?
Yeah. I think they're seeing purely what they want to see with blinders on. And I think the reality is that he doesn't, because everyone keeps saying he needs to step up. He needs to step up, assume the number one role. Yes, but it's a hell of a lot more than that. He needs a giant fucking leap. He has to step up, but like he needs a leap to the area that y'all were talking about. And even if he does that, I agree. I mean, I still don't know that I feel good about just giving him, backing up the truck just to keep up with the market on wide
receivers. Let's look at it this way.
Like that market.
Let's look at it.
It's a mix of two things to me. One is I don't think most of the fan base understands the elite wide receiver guys. And two, our offensive roster is hard to look at. We're looking for who's our best guy. And you can make that argument. He might be. He's our best skill guy on the offense right now.
He is.
Right?
He is.
So he stands out on a bad offensive roster. So maybe that's part of it. But if you're going to say he's a star, you need to sit down and do what we did on that one podcast and go down the list. And you have to watch those guys play because there's no way you can say he's one of those dudes.
Yeah, and
you can't.
And it's funny, given that our team, the Saints, if you go back within the past 10 years, you see what elite wide receiver play looked like when you look at Michael Thomas's second and third and fourth year. Like there's numbers where you're putting up 149 catches.
Yeah.
His first year was better, Max. His first year was better than both Olave.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike Thomas.
Exactly. That's my point. Like if you go back and you look at Michael Thomas's start to his career, years 1 through 4, and there's no comparison. And you can make a case for those Thomas years, just specifically 2, 3, and 4 being just elite, to where you say, you know what? This guy is playing at an elite level. We can back up and give him a big contract. There is no indication that Olave is going to come close to any year one. He hasn't even done that, to Nick's point.
But that's exactly it. Like you said, there's no indication. There is no evidence. There's nothing that he has done on the field. And one big part of it, because Nick, like you were saying, there's parts of it. And it's complex. Unfortunately, go figure, a Saints player situation being complex. Dramatic, but a big part of the Olave stands argument is that Derek Carr is holding him back. They put so much of his underperformance on the quarterback. And look, are there times where like Carr fucked up? Of course, he did that a lot last year. But is that the reason? Is that really the so much of a contributing factor that it's like a but for Derek Carr, Olave would be Justin Jefferson? I don't think you can do that.
Dude, elite receivers.
No, you cannot.
And Nick, we're going to go back to the 90s on this one. Elite receivers can make any quarterback look good. Like, let's go back to that Lions offense with Scott Mitchell. Scott Mitchell was good for like a season or two. And he had Brett Perriman and Herman Moore and Johnny Morton. These guys were going fucking bananas. And it was not the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And there's so many instances of that happening in NFL history where a great wide receiver is going to get his in spite of the QB. Yeah.
Like the QB could cost you a play here and there, could cost you big plays. But it's like, is the QB, if you're that good of a receiver, is the QB single-handedly going to keep you from being, by all accounts, I know 1,000 yards, they say nothing to scoff at, but it's kind of pedestrian these days. Is it going to keep you from going
pedestrian
from pedestrian? Is it going to keep you from going from pedestrian to getting 35 a year? I think that takes more to make that jump.
I mean, okay, so we're just comparing him to his college teammate, Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson had Zach Wilson and a bunch of nobodies and is putting up the same numbers. Are we saying Derek Carr is Zach Wilson? I mean, would any Saints fans say that?
Yeah, there are a lot of Saints fans that would say that.
they would go that low.
There's a lot of hatred out there for Derek Carr,
for sure. For a guy who's for sure not a starter.
I'm not saying that's correct. I think there's a lot of people that don't think Derek Carr should be a starter. But
Derek Carr got him 138 targets this
opinion.
year. He scored 5 TDs. He had 1,100 yards.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I mean, and he's a 70% passer. He was third in the league. So to say that that's holding him back, I don't know.
Yeah, Carr's not. I just don't think it's holding him back as much as people want to believe it is. I think, yes, of course, there's always, if your QB is not Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, as Drew Brees being the top guy to really elevate receivers, if they're not that elite all-time QB, then of course there's an element of the QB, what the QB does to receiver performance. The receivers are literally dependent on the QB getting them the football. So of course it's intertwined, but I just don't think it's to the level that people who really want to put Olave in that pay him bucket want to believe it is. It's just not. It's not on that level. I mean, there's an element of it. There's some contribution from, would he perform better? I mean, purely in the term better. Would he perform better from a Derek Carr to a Mahomes or a Derek Carr to a Justin Herbert? Sure, better. But is Carr one of the overwhelming factors for him not, in our minds, being the guy that deserves the $35 million? I don't think it is. It's something. Yeah, it's something, but it's not everything.
Yeah, let's look at Devontae Adams' stats with Carr before the whole Raiders thing went down.
Yeah,
the stats were off the charts.
Hunter Renfrow, he made Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, 100 plus catches.
All
pro. Yeah,
look,
he made Renfrow.
Look, we can bag on Carr for a lot of things, but Olave's lack of being an elite wide receiver is not on Carr. It's simply not.
Yeah, and I think and we could bag on Olave for a lot of things. I will say I'm going to kind of shift this to taking the Trevor Penning approach. I'm going to go back to the optimism on Olave. I do think there were some moments last year, like later in the year, where he kind of, at least things he said, kind of owned up to maybe not having his head in the best place earlier in the year with the whole spat or whatever the hell was going on. So I think he's aware of it. But again, it goes back to we're not going to know till we see it. And he needs, just like Penning, like it's shit or get off the pot time, just on different levels for them.
That's the thing. It's like with Penning, I'm not cutting Olave any slack, so I'm not cutting Penning any slack. They both in year 3 need to produce because they are eligible for extensions after this season.
Yep.
And look,
and I do not even want to put them in the same category. Olave has achieved.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like they're in similar step. They're facing much different steps. Like Penning's looking at graduating from pre-K to kindergarten. Olave's trying to go from high school to college.
Exactly.
We're trying to talk about a guy whether he's good or he's elite, not trying to start.
They both have next steps to take, and this is the last year for them to take those steps. They're like, "Hey, Penning, do you want to learn how to read?" Or Olave, do you want to write a thesis?
Yeah, exactly. It's apples and oranges, and we want to make sure there's no confusion that anyone listening thinks that we're saying.
I don't want people to think we're saying he's a horrible player. Yeah. He is not a horrible player.
He's a really good player. He's one of the
and for people that might be wanting to dog on us right now, and if you do, that's fine. That's why we do this. But we did say earlier that we think we literally think he is our best offensive player.
Yeah. For as much of a hard time as we give Olave on this podcast, he is a top 20 wide receiver in the world. Whether you're talking about college or the pros, and we know he has the ability to be elite.
Yeah,
we just want to see him.
And when he has 1,800 yards this year and breaks Randy Moss's touchdown record, we're going to say, training camp. We were all telling you all at training camp that Olave is elite. We're going to say that.
I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say I was wrong, and good for him for stepping up.
We will. Yeah, we will admit our faults. And I hope we're wrong.
I pray I'm wrong.
Yeah. We want him to make that jump, but the idea that he's there already, which I think is a very big, a very popular opinion amongst the Saints community,
it's laughable.
I don't see that. He's not there yet at the level that he's viewed, I guess, by the fans.
To me, that's a step away. Comments
right.
He could be there. He has the potential to be there.
He can get there. I think is the way to.
You know what? Hey, let's pivot away from Olave. Let's talk about Chase Young, because I'm extremely optimistic from hearing the news that he is already he's present and practicing. Because we talked about it when we signed him and we heard about the surgery, that this might be something to where we don't see him until late August in any capacity.
Yeah, Nick's prognosis scared the shit out of me, and I'm not saying it was wrong at all. I mean, and hell, who knows? Maybe they're forcing him back early. I don't know, but the reason I kind of doubt that or seem to go against it is you mentioned Kendra earlier. DA had statements about both Kendra and about Chase Young in terms of their health, and his statements about those two players' health could not be more diametrically opposed. Kendra's, you could tell I think that DA had some intel that
he's frustrated.
he wasn't really doing what he wasn't really doing what he's supposed to be doing in the offseason. He's not conditioning himself. That's why he had a hammy injury at like first fucking day of practice. Come on, dude. Whereas Chase Young, and I don't always like to put a lot of stock in DA, but you could just tell like he was just riffing.
He knows defense. He was
like,
anything he says about defense, I listen to it.
Yeah, but he was like, in terms of recovery, he's like, that dude bought in. He did everything he was supposed to do in his rehab, and then he thought he was with the statement. Then he goes to the T, which meant like you knew he was getting in word. I mean, look, we saw Chase Young at the Pelicans game, right?
Monster.
Dude was here. It looked like he was standing on the third row, but he was on the floor.
Is he how many months out? When was the surgery? April,
it was right after we signed him.
Was it April?
It was right after we signed him, so April, yeah.
The next week, but what was that actual date? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
I'm just curious.
He's ahead of schedule. I do know that. And to Corey's point, we were courtside that game, and my God, like you said, it looked like he was standing on the third row. Because he is.
I was like, oh, he must know someone with court. I was like, Chase Young knows somebody with courtside seats, and then I saw his feet.
He is every bit of 6'5", 6'6". Like that is not an exaggeration like you see in college where all the colleges inflate the sizes. Like this dude is legit 6'5", 6'6", and he's rocked up.
And he looks to be, from the pictures and videos, obviously we're not there in Irvine. We can't be there.
Don't start. Don't start.
Been
Don't start.
Documented. But
I see
it looks like
on Twitter.
We signed him.
I don't need to see anymore.
I know. That's why I left that pregnant pause there, just to make you uncomfortable. But
we signed him late March, so his surgery would have been probably
April, right?
first April. So we're coming up on the 4-month mark, which we said was the
minimum,
first,
right?
Well, that's where we said if everything goes perfectly, it could happen. We said 4 months. That's I think what we said on the pod.
They were raving about how the surgery went. They said the surgery was really a well done surgery. They said that his rehab he did everything he was asked to do to the T per DA. And what I was about to get into, I loved, another shout out to Ross, but he's there because we can't be Max. And he took the video of Chase Young working out with
Dude, that
Cam.
video is awesome.
And I almost had to do a double take to make sure that was a 94 on that jersey because I have never seen Cam Jordan look so short.
That should have been 24 because he looked like a little running back.
Made him look like a safety.
Dude, Cam, we know Cam. Cam is not small.
Cam is
6'4", about 290. He's not a small guy.
I think anybody could describe Cam to be a giant human being. And it wasn't that like young, Peyton Turner's tall. Okay, like
dude,
sure.
Turner's a beast.
He also hasn't done anything. But Chase Young just looked jacked. He's broad and tall. He just seemed thicker than just your 6'8" dude. He's 6'5" or whatever, but I'll
say this.
It was awesome.
Chase Young is the classic example of the old saying, you want your biggest guy off the bus first. That is the guy you want getting off the bus first if the opposing team has to look at it because they're going to go, holy fuck, we have no chance.
Yeah. Make that dude put on the sunglasses and the Beats headphones and walk straight past.
Here's another thing, man. Yeah. Look, if he has, if he puts up 5, 6, 7 sacks this year, you got to franchise him because he's 25 years old.
Oh, for sure.
Like you have to. You're in a corner where
he's 20.
You have to. If he does anything, you've got to franchise him. You have to keep him around.
And in a league with the ever more mobile quarterback, I think even if his sack numbers aren't there, but he just obviously looks the part. Like he's got a ton of hurries.
Yeah.
He's got pass defense, and he just looks dominant and is dominant. Because today he only got 3 reps. They were detailed where 2 of them were bull rushes, and DA actually kind of had to get on him for getting too close to the QB on one of them, which I love. But it's like he just Landon Young. I mean, there's probably a critique on Landon Young too, but apparently he just ate Landon Young's lunch.
He should.
Just got his hands. Got his hands in the middle of him and just pushed him straight back into the QB. And if he does that, but maybe doesn't rack up 5, 7 sacks, but does that every game,
I'm going to tell you right now. I know this might not be the Corey Mall, Marcus May,
hot takes?
Just hot take of all time. But I really right now, I would predict Chase Young's going to have 10 sacks at least. I think he goes double digit for the first time.
Max, are you about to go on record saying he's going to be third on the team in sacks?
I'm not going that far. That would be too hot for my my touch.
Whew, whew.
I'm looking forward. I
Scorching
can't wait for the season preview episode because I'm really just chomping at the bit, just trying to think of what you have in store for us after the Marcus May third on the team in tackles prediction.
Well, clearly I overthought myself, and it came out Marcus May third.
It was just amazing to see you like build it up the entire episode because it was like an hour plus. And I'm just watching you just like, just building it up. And me and Nick were sitting there just on pins and needles on the edge of our seat, just like, all right, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. He's coming in hot.
Yeah.
And
here we go.
Like, my hot take is he's going to be average this year.
Ooh. Yeah. Like things have fallen flat.
You can't believe how average he's going to be.
Corey, I'm still upset.
I will say he was third in average tackles per game.
Wow.
Just saying.
You're right.
Just saying.
He sucked.
He only played 6 of them, but
so you've got about 4 or 5 weeks. You've got about 5 weeks to build up just a really scorching, flaming, just.
I don't know, but I think I'm going to take a different approach because that's kind of what we did last time, and look what it turned out. I think it's going to be like day of. Just boom, hit me with it.
I like that. That's fine. Yeah, because the spontaneous hot takes are better. Because the thought out ones aren't hot.
Yeah, like the best ones I've had are the ones that y'all draw out of me. Caden Ellis, Lorenzo Neal, like those were not thought about with any time to prep.
Yeah, I will say Caden Ellis is
not thought about before.
Caden Ellis is sitting by himself on Mount Rushmore. It's a Mount Rushmore
Mount
one.
Caden.
And he's by himself right now. That take is just—he's
a lone peak. He's the Matterhorn.
Oh man, that take
just sitting up there.
See, that's what I want out of you. That's what I need out of you. I need you with those kind of takes.
Well, don't tell me to prepare for my takes.
I didn't tell you to prepare.
You just did. You said you have 5 weeks to build up your take.
No, you have 5 weeks to pull it out of yourself. You don't need to prepare for it. Just be spontaneous and loose and ready to roll.
You want to go to spontaneity school or like
no?
How does this work?
Just be ready. Just have them in the chamber. Just whichever one feels right. Just go.
I live ready.
Marcus May says otherwise.
Ready. Listen to that.
Let's go.
He's born ready. Built different. Corey Mall.
Hashtag.
Well, I think this is probably the point where we need to tell the listeners about.
Here we need more fullbacks in NOLA. I'm coming.
Well, no, so Marshawn Lattimore's injury right now. So just so anyone listening knows, Corey had this same injury in high school, and he recovered in 2 weeks. So our expectations of Lattimore's recovery should be pretty aggressive.
I definitely missed one game. Did I miss 2? It wasn't 3. I'll tell you that much. But I can tell you the injury sucks. And in all seriousness, it prevents you from lifting your leg high enough to run. Just it's the weirdest thing. Never had it happen before that. Never had it happen since. But you literally you try to run, and it's like your leg just doesn't work. It's like the one thing that connects kind of the crease between your hip, your upper leg. Joint. It just
no. Hold on, before you go any further, let's
shit.
just go ahead and let the listeners know that we are in no way trying to compare Marshawn Lattimore to Corey Mall as an athlete. These are apples and oranges.
We're just comparing.
We're talking about a thoroughbred versus a donkey, right?
He could beat me in the 40, sure. Weightlifting.
Wait, you concede the 40 to him?
Yeah, I'll concede the 40 to Marshawn. Not to Nick, but to Marshawn.
Oh, well, we do have a beach trip coming up. I feel like we can replicate this in the streets of Seaside.
We could definitely get that race together.
We record walking distance from Harrell Park, where there's a track.
Hold on. This is good, though. Should we go ahead and schedule this? The 40-yard dash competition between Corey and Nick, former fullback versus...
Now, that's something I'll need at least 5 weeks for a build.
Okay, well, you got about 8 weeks for that one.
First YouTube
episode. The preseason, the run, the kickoff run, kind of like the Saints do the kickoff run through the dome. We're going to do the season preview kickoff run 40.
It's more Rich Eisen running the 40.
So Nick, that's That's true for you, Nick.
Oh,
You're right.
shots fired.
This is easy to set up. You should be careful.
We're setting this one up. We are
I'm
setting
going to
this
stretch
one
my
up.
hip flex. I have to stretch my hip flexors before this.
Okay. No, we're doing this, though.
flexors
I
are
think
fine,
this would make a great YouTube supplement.
Oh, are you flexing your flexors? Oh boy.
We got to do this. This is good.
Yeah. I'll wear my.
You in on it, Max? You jumping in?
No.
Should I wear my Jesuit football jersey?
I'm not here
No,
claiming.
your leather
I'm not
jacket.
here
Your
claiming
leather-
to have a good 40 time. But Corey over here is talking about his, his high school days. So I want to see.
He mentioned Lattimore
I'm sure I'm just as fast.
and his 4.3.
Well,
Nice of you to concede that one.
so
Yeah, I'll give it to him.
this would be fun because I do want to see what Nick.
He's taller than me.
I do want to
too.
see what Nick runs in a 40 just for, and we'll back this up. This is probably late high school, a bet we had back then talking about Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson, the former number 1 overall pick, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. And Big Daddy, I want to say, ran like a 4.73 or something like that.
4.72, 4.71,
Something like that. At what?
This is how all the best conversations.
He was at
It's
about
gonna
6'5", 335, something like that.
310, 320.
No, he was bigger than that, bro. He was huge.
I can't imagine the statement that came next.
So Nick tells me I can beat him in a 40. I'm like, no, you fucking
4.7.
cannot beat him in a 40.
What year in high school
This
was
would
this?
have been senior year.
Senior year, going into senior year.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you could have got it 4.7 when you were
For sure,
senior.
I could have got a
Easy.
4.7.
Easy.
Max doesn't believe
You
I
that.
don't believe it.
Yeah, you might get a 4.7 now,
He might. You won't.
and I'll still beat you.
No shot.
He's going 4.4.
I will lay every penny I own.
I'll pat myself on the back if I could. No, I can't go sub 4.7. No, I can't do that.
And not only that, you're 7 years younger. No way. This is good though. We can put up a Twitter poll on who would win the 40 between you and Nick.
We don't have to do the poll. We know what the poll's going to say.
Well, they don't know. I mean, you're
For anybody
you're,
that knows,
you're the
well.
former fullback Jesuit High School. You might get some votes.
Oh, you accused me of being over 210. It's 205 officially.
Shut the fuck up, you liar! What are you?
You want me to send you a picture
The
of the
only way
scale?
you weigh 205 if you're 5'2".
Just make sure you have clothes on when you send a picture on the scale.
I zoomed in on the numbers.
No way. I'm calling BS.
Just make sure the picture is not NSFW.
Are you doing it right now?
You have a picture of yourself on a scale in your phone.
No, I have a picture of the scale, not of myself. That would be illegal in most
I'm not
states.
asking for a picture of Casey on a scale. You.
It's a picture of the numbers on the scale that I took.
Well, how do we know it's
In a
you?
picture that could clearly.
Right, when Casey was on the scale.
You think I got what? Took my brother over to my house, said stand on the scale, and I'm going to awkwardly take a picture of the numbers?
I'm not buying you a 205.
0.6.
Yeah. It's a big 0.6. Anyway, we veered off into one of their tangents again, but
We did it. We said, well, we gave you all forewarning.
they're entertaining though. Nothing. Like Eric is at home laughing his ass
Let's
off
do
right
it.
now.
A lot of we mentioned Casey 14 times.
Jesus
already.
Christ, he really texted us a picture of this. But who is this? That's not you.
You didn't want the picture of me in that.
Well, I would hope you don't have a picture of you on a scale. Did
No,
you
I
have
do-
Lindsay
I do
take that
not.
picture?
I've never taken one of those.
What's the date on this?
I mean,
It's got to be like 19 or 2002.
the evidence is
Scale
right
looks
there.
that old, to be fair.
That's an old ass
It's not a
scale,
young,
dude.
not a young scale. Okay, so maybe it hasn't been calibrated in a while. Okay,
Look at that scale.
Yeah.
Look at it. Hold on.
are
Hold
the
on.
glass,
Alex,
you
come look
know?
at this.
is it really that old of a scale?
Be honest. Is there any way this scale was made after the year 2000? No way. This is
Yeah.
from Corey's parents'
After
bathroom
2000.
in like 1994.
Sure.
I just took that.
He's like
yesterday.
Well, you're in third grade for this.
Wait, is that who weighs this?
Corey says he weighs 205. I'm not buying it.
Me.
You think he's more or less?
Well, not less.
Okay.
It was Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. At least she asked it both ways. Like,
she's trying to make you feel good.
Max is like, there's no way.
Really? Because
Get Lizzie in the room right now. I want her to tell us that you weigh 205.
Yesterday, 11:31 a.m.
I think you all are around just like
You don't
200, right?
He doesn't weigh near
ourselves in front of
200
each other.
pounds.
He weighs the same as Corey. So there you go.
Yeah, 5 pounds away.
Corey's got me by 35 pounds.
Subtract
that's
Corey's
expected.
daughters, and then you might have Nick's weight.
Oh, that he had him on his back.
One of them, probably.
Anyway, we're off on a tangent. Do we have any other
Yeah.
Saints-related thoughts?
Other than that, Marshawn could beat me in the 40.
Hot take there. Real hot take.
Whew. No. What else was there?
Actually, you know what we could do? We could tell the listeners that we are going to
said-
have video coming soon to where they can watch this in action.
Yeah. And unlike the last time we told you video coming soon,
It's really
we
coming
have
soon.
we have purchased supplies.
Yeah. Just when you were thinking of stop listening completely, we're going to put it on video.
Well, you can stop listening and start watching.
Start watching on mute.
Soon.
It might be more entertaining.
Should we bring the scale to the office? To the
Doubtful.
studio?
What do you want to
I
do?
wanna do a
Weigh in
weekly
before every
weigh-in.
episode? Oh, Jesus! You're,
What are we training
Not-
for? Why don't we just try to get to be Big Daddy's
well-
size and then ready?
ooh, that sounds healthy.
It'd be fun.
Or the equivalent. He was what, 6'5"?
6'4", 6'5", yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Anyway, but any last Saints thoughts before we sign off?
Yeah. Daddy strength. That's been another one floating around the interwebs recently. Let's see. They said Foster.
The answer's
Moreau's been
no,
looking
Max.
good.
There are
That was
no
encouraging.
more
You kind of touched on him.
No. Foster Moreau. That's actually a good one because our guy,
He's actually
our guy,
been
Juwan Johnson,
laying down
he's
some good blocks.
Juwan Johnson's off TikToking. And that's what he's going to be doing pretty much all season. So
No, they said like Taysom's been. Ross was one of his observations that not Taysom, that Foster was holding his own on the edge. Holding off play action passes that have gone deep to your boy from Yale. What was his name? How do you say his name again? Tipton. That one of the plays would not have happened if it wasn't for Foster's block on Cam Jordan, which I thought was great to hear.
yeah, I mean, we know Foster can block. We know that.
Yeah,
The clutch
we're gonna
catches.
need- yeah, too soon.
One in particular.
Yeah, Nick was upset by
Not
that
that.
one.
Well, I think a lot of people were.
Yeah. No, but Foster's a really good player. I think Foster's your ideal number 2 tight end. Obviously, it's not optimal that he's going to have to be the number 1 with Juwan on the shelf. Dallin Holker, I don't think hasn't done much so far, which is kind of.
Well, one other thought I had though, you were talking about, we were talking about how the rookies from last year underperforming. A.T. Perry being chief among them. The word besides Bub Means and maybe some of the really later picks, Fuaga, Kool-Aid, and who else am I forgetting? Rookies that are looking really good out
Spencer
there.
Rattler.
Rattler, yeah. So the first 3 picks are looking great from all accounts. McCoy had a statement on Fuaga that said he is the best. I mean, McCoy's single digits in terms of his career, but he said he's easily the best rookie offensive lineman that he's seen. I think McCoy's a pretty level-headed dude with his comments and statements, and when he's impressed, I think that's worthwhile.
Yeah, I think everything that we've heard about Fuaga has been nothing but positive. I feel pretty confident in saying that he's going to have a good rookie year. Like I don't have any concerns with him. Like we all liked the Penning pick. We liked that pick at the time, because it was the mean, nasty guy who was shoving everybody down into the turf after the play, just mauling people. We all liked the Olave pick. We all liked the Penning pick. I think Fuaga is a safe bet to be a good player. He just has that feel where it seems like he's going to be good no matter what. There's not going to be too much of a learning curve. Like he's going to come in and just kick some ass out of the gates. So.
It feels pretty confident that his floor is high.
That's a great way of saying that his floor is much higher than Penning's. His floor is over Penning's ceiling, it seems like at this point. But
yeah, he's. I was going to make a New Orleans architecture analogy, but I'm not going to do it.
But he was a stud college player versus
good players.
Yeah,
he pushed Latu around, who was the Colts' first round pick. A couple picks after him.
Latu said that Guaga was the toughest dude he went up against. And so, again, we got to see it in the game, but I think chances, signs are pointing a lot higher towards that. We also had some trepidation that even in training camp, he might struggle with left tackle moving over, but we haven't heard a peep about him struggling with the switch.
And what you just said, we haven't heard a peep. That's what Nick and I have always said about offensive linemen. It's like, I hear he's had an all-pro year, which lends itself to the point of, if you're not hearing about an offensive lineman, they're probably doing their job. So if I'm not hearing about a rookie offensive lineman, we should probably feel pretty good about him.
Yeah, it's like the long snapper. The best one in history is the one you probably can't remember.
Exactly.
Never fucked up. But yeah, I mean, so those are encouraging. And they said Kool-Aid just looks like a pro. Like he's fluid, he's fast, he's in phase, he's doing all the right things, and being plopped out there on the outside right away, which I love. I'm glad. It's like Alante. You can tweet whatever position you don't want to play. Go ahead and tweet it. But we're going to put Kool-Aid in there if Marshawn goes down. Like, that's encouraging. So hopefully they stick with that course.
Yeah, and I really do want to see Rattler in the preseason. I want to see him in a live game setting. And every game I watched of South Carolina last year, he was running for his life. The offensive line was terrible. He did have some really good weapons at wide receiver, but, it's going to be
until further notice, he could be running for his life with our ones. So, but I think they're going to be improved.
Yeah, I just feel like the preseason's set up for a talented rookie quarterback to do some things. You know what I mean? Because they're just you're playing against like future UBS guys and all of that. It's like your talent should win out, and you should be able to show out.
Is it UPS this year? I think it was Amazon last year.
I mean, it might be Trader Joe's, one of them.
Oh wow! Okay.
Well, actually, it's probably future striker reps, right, Nick?
Yep.
You like the competitiveness of the former professional athletes.
Yes. Many of them. Many.
So, yeah. But, yeah, like we said, I mean, today was the first day in pads, so a lot more to learn. I want to see how consistent the run game can be, because I've heard good things about the scheme, the zone blocking scheme. They said, Mims had a good or was it Mims or one of the other guys had a good bounce back, because you basically have like the slam, the bend, or the bounce in this new zone scheme. You can hit the hole it's called to. If that hole clogs up, you bend it to the next one over backside. And then if that one's clogged up too, you go all the way backside. And so whatever running back it was, just like did that to perfection, had a long run up the left. So I want to see more of that out of the already established guys. Like I want to see Kamara, really flow with that zone blocking scheme, because it gives the running back an opportunity to just kind of, he can hit the hole if it's there, but if not, he can just kind of wait, and when a hole opens up, he pierces it.
Yeah, and another encouraging.
So, I want to see.
Another encouraging thing about the running game was, I think Underhill wrote about it today, talking about how the running backs, once they get tackled, they're standing up, and then they're going a little bit further, like pushing it and delivering stiff arms and all that, just to kind of, I guess, cultivate that mentality of being a tough power running offense, which is that's encouraging to hear. And he also talked about the wide receivers are practicing, what do you say, with rugby balls?
I don't know if they might be. I heard
it was a different kind of ball. I want to say it was one that was smaller, so it wouldn't be a rugby ball. It was something that was smaller, and it was talking about forcing them to catch it with their hands.
The coaching vibes are apparently off the charts, like immaculate coaching vibes. They're energetic. They're shouting in a good way. The running backs apparently had slip covers.
That was the other thing.
Over weighted footballs that were 8 pounds. So the balls were slipped, had no grip basically, and they were weighted. Yeah. So that sounds awesome. Just as a football guy take. And then, there's probably more we can get into. I mean, I will say the reports out of Willie Gay have been really good. He's apparently been all over the place in a good way.
Wait, who? How'd you say it?
Willie Gay. Willie Gay.
Oh, Willie. I thought you were talking about Anthony Orgy, who's apparently been flashing every single day too.
Did you see? Did you see the tweet about Orgy and Willie Gay?
No, I did not.
I believe it was Who Dat Homo or someone added him. But did you not notice that the Saints have the opportunity to have a linebacker core of gay orgy?
Of gay orgy.
That's good. That's good. If
like, yeah.
that could be a contender for Todd top 10. So we got to get Todd on there at some point. His annual.
Who are the players? There's a Grady Dick that played for the Toronto Raptors, and then there was another player that took a picture with him last year.
Last name Black.
Went viral. Yeah, yeah. So it'd be one of those.
That would be fun.
Yeah. I mean, they have been saying Orgy's been looking pretty good too.
No, they have. That's why I thought you were
yeah.
mispronouncing his name. My apologies, but no, because he's apparently flashed every single day. So
yeah,
which is good to see.
And and Gay said in his presser he believes that if him and Pete are right there neck and neck, that he gives the coaches more of a reason to run the three of them out there on a regular basis as opposed to two. We'll see. It's up to DA. That's not really a player call. So it was kind of funny to hear him say that. But he's like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to give him a choice. He's going to have to put all three of us out there.
Hey, that's great to hear.
Play with that intensity, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's, all accounts, been a good addition as well. But I don't think I have anything else besides that.
No, man, I think I'm tapped out too. Dick, you got anything else?
No, I think we exhausted it, to be honest with you.
Probably so.
Nick has run 640s since the last time he chimed in.
That's right. I've been doing push-ups over here, getting ready for Corey's race.
Yeah, we can't see Nick from the waist down. He's doing leg stretches and
hip flexor stretches.
He's actually sprinting on a treadmill right now.
Oh, like one of those old people things. Nice.
Oh, okay.
For those of us under 205.
Weight jokes, love it.
I am looking forward to this. 40.
I'm gonna sick that Olympic rugby player on you talking about BMI. She had a statement.
She was upset about that. Yeah, I saw that actually. That was pretty good.
I mean,
she's right, 100%. By the way,
she had a point.
She's 100% right.
She's badass. They showed Derrick Henry a video of her, and he's like, "Oh shit, damn." He's like, "Yeah, she's got it." He's like, "She's got it." So, anyway.
Well, no, this is probably a good point to go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll get a new episode out to you pretty shortly.
Yeah, if you're still there, thanks for listening, Dan, the man. Thanks for listening. Max will send you snowball picks
every weekend. I'm upset I didn't make it last weekend, man. I got to race back and go get one on Saturday and Sunday.
He'll have two this weekend.
I have two every weekend.
There will be Max goes to the beach so much and gets snowballs so often that it's a matter of time before there's a Hanson's in Destin. It's only a matter of time.
Man.
You'd know I'd kill it.
Oh, man.
It would. I
don't think Hanson's would do it.
We'll talk to Ashley about it.
How many more tangents do we need?
That's a good one.
All right.
Hanson's is the GOAT.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have some fun of it because the training camp stuff, it's going to be the same old shit after a little while before the real game starts. We'll have some fun topics involving some comparisons.
Yeah, we need to come up with something off topic next time for fun, for sure.
Yeah.
We got one. We just need to get into back into the lab again and record it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But all right, let's go ahead and wrap that one up. Corey, you want to send us off?
That I will. So thanks again for listening to another episode of the 28-3 podcast.
What a comeback!